my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I am Shannon, and I'm getting ready now to start a reading vlog for you guys. And not only is it a reading vlog, it's a readathon reading vlog. And this is going to be the first readathon that I've ever partaken in. So before I tell you the prompts, I'll tell you what the readathon is. So I'm going to be doing Winterween, which is a readathon that's hosted by Gabby. Her channel is Gabby Reads. I found her channel at the beginning of 2024 and I loved it, and I love her, and I've watched so many of her videos, like her older videos and all of her new videos this year, and I just really love her channel. So I will link that down below in case you haven't come across her and you'd like to check her out. So she hosts two of these like Ween readathons a year. One in the summer called Summerween, I think it's in July, and then the one in January called Winterween. And so we are going to be participating in it this year. So one thing that I was really excited about is because the readathon runs from January 10th to the 16th. So I was like, okay, this might get a little dicey because my members book club is doing their, I'm doing the live show for that on January 11th. So I was like, well, how am I going to fit that in? But then I realized that that does fit into one of the prompts. So that's perfect. I'm just going to have to wait a little bit closer to the day before I start reading it, but that works perfectly. So I don't have the prompts in front of me because I'm filming on my phone and they're on my phone, but I'm pretty sure I've got them all memorized. So I might get them out of order, so forgive me if I do. But here are the prompts. So basically what you do is you go through the prompts, you pick a book that fits into each of them, and then you read them throughout the week. So the first prompt is to read a book in the dark or at night. So I'm going to pair this one up with another prompt so I can kind of get two birds with one stone there. So that's the first one. The second one is to read just very broadly a horror or a thriller, and that is where the members only book club book is going to come in, because we're reading Christmas presents. Long story as to why we're reading a Christmas book in January, but we're reading Christmas Presents by Lisa Unger, and that's a thriller, and so that will fit prompt number 2. The third one is to read a book with a house on the cover or the word house in the title. For that one, I'm going to be reading A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Malerman. I've only read one book from that author, and that was Incidents Around the House, and I enjoyed that one. It wasn't a favorite, but I did enjoy it. So I've heard people talking about this one. It runs on the shorter side, which I like. So I was like, that's perfect. I'm going to fit him in for prompt number 3. Then for number 4, it's to read a horror book that was published 5 or more years ago. And then for Christmas, I got this short story collection by Stephen Graham Jones called After the People Lights Have Gone Off. And that fits in perfectly because it was published actually 11 years ago in 2014. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Bonkers bananas that 2014 was now 11 years ago. But that fits in perfect for that. And then the 5th prompt is to read a novella, a manga, or listen to a spooky audiobook. So this book I picked up because I saw Katie Colson, whose channel I also I'm obsessed with. I love Katie so much. I saw her raving about this book, The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn, of course, wrote, why has the name of every Gillian Flynn book left my head? Oh, Gone Girl and Sharp Objects. And another one, which title has still left my head, but Katie kept going on and on about how much she loved this. It's super short. Even like the book itself is very tiny. So that's perfect for the 5th prompt. And on the back here it says, you like ghost stories? And boy do I. So those are the books we are going to be reading. Also, the Josh Malerman one I'm going to be reading on my Kindle. I got a Kindle just after Christmas. I picked it up like on Boxing Day sale. And all the books I read sort of just for pleasure, I buy physical copies of. But I get a lot of e-ARCs, early advanced reader copies of books, and those come in ebook format. And I've been reading them on my iPad, but it's so big and it's so clunky, and I found it was really hurting my eyes. So when they had a sale, I was like, you know what, just bite the bullet, just do it. So I bought the House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Mallerman for that, because I had nothing on my TBR that had a house in the title or a house on the cover. So I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do here. But that's what we did. So let's get on into it. I think the 2 prompts I'm going to couple up are going to be for reading in the dark, and then I'm going to start with The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. So let's get this started, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so we are just popping out here so I can show you it is fully dark out. I got my little light here. And we're going to do some reading in the dark, but not in the dark, at night. All right, so we are doing some nighttime reading. I just finished chapter 3 of A House at the Bottom of a Lake. I keep wanting to call it The House at the Bottom of the Lake, but that is not what it's called. Anyways, basically this book is about 2 17-year-olds who meet at a hardware store where the boy James works, and he gets up the nerve and he asks her to go on a date, and she says yes. And so now they're out on their first date and they're canoeing, and like his uncle got them all set up in his canoe, and so they're on the lake and it's so beautiful, and James is like, you think this is good? Just you wait, there's a second lake. And so they're getting ready now to move from the first lake into the second, and I'm guessing in the second lake is where everything's gonna pop off. So let's see. Okay, actually never mind that. There's a third lake that they had to go through a tunnel to get to, and that's where it's going to pop off. When they were going through that tunnel, I had such anxiety. I kept thinking they were going to get stuck, and they almost did, but they did make it through. Anyway, they're paddling around now. Amelia, the girl, she's like, this isn't as good as the other 2. And she's kind of wanting to mention going back through the tunnel to the other side when they see the roof of a house underneath the water. Right before they see that, though, Amelia notices a dead fish just floating beneath the surface. And that's what makes her, like, want to get out of there. But then they see that roof, and together they want to go explore it. So I'm about 20% through the book now. So I'm going to read a bit more tonight, but I probably won't check in again until tomorrow. All right, good morning. I just got out of the shower, and right before that, I finished A House at the Bottom of the Lake, and I loved it. I loved it. It's got a super low rating on Goodreads, like 3.19, which is one of the lowest ratings I've seen for a book that I've read. But I loved it. I thought it's definitely not scary, but it was creepy and atmospheric, and I loved the open ending. I loved it. I thought it was great. 5 stars for sure. So I'm getting ready now to go into the city with my mom, and we're going to go visit my daughter Anna at university. So I'm going to do up a little bag of things to bring her, and we're going to take The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn and hit the road. All right, so I just started this while I'm waiting for Mom to come pick me up, and this is the craziest first line I've ever read. Love that. Can't wait to see where this is going. Okay, getting ready to bring things to Anna. We got some of these spanakoppitas. We just call them spinach triangles because I never know how to pronounce that. Got her some soup dumplings. And then these Funko Pops, they're from the show Yellow Jackets, which her and I both love. Van and Tasia. They were for Christmas, but Canada Post was on strike, of course, and so they didn't arrive until recently, but they're here now. right, hi there guys, I am back home now. As you saw, went to the city, went to the bookstore, went to Chapters. Well, it's not called Chapters anymore, it's called Indigo, but that's like Canada's big book chain, so there's none in the town where I live. So whenever I go to the city, I try to make a point to take a stop in, and I picked up 2 books, which I'll show you now in a second. So before we move on to the book I'm reading currently, we'll pop back into a house at the bottom of a lake, because I kind of just earlier was just like, oh, I loved it, which I did. But we can get into a bit more why. I thought, like, it's really low rated. It has like a 3.19 on Goodreads, which might be the lowest rated book I've ever read, but I loved it. It's short, it's got a bit of an ambiguous ending. Like, you can kind of, to me, I feel like you can kind of take it, think about it, to come up with many different things that it might have meant, that it might have been alluding to. I thought it was great. I also know that if I had read that when I was a teenager, like when I was 15 or 16, I would have loved it then too. It's one of those kind of books that I could see a teenager really liking as well. And like I said, not too scary, but definitely creepy. Like, these 2, they become obsessed with the house. Obsessed with it. They go back. They go diving in it. They go exploring in it. And, like, nothing makes sense. Like, once they first go inside, there's, like, a table. There's a bowl sitting on the table, but it's not floating, even though it's underwater. It's just sitting on the table. And, yeah, they become obsessed. Obsessed. To the point of, yeah, I won't tell you. No spoilers. Anyway, so then this morning I started The Grown Up, which, like I said, it's got a wild first sentence, first paragraph, first page. So I'm going to do a bit more reading now. I still don't really know what it's about. It's, from what I've gathered from what I've read so far, we're sort of getting this woman's backstory. She worked as a prostitute for a while. She tells us, like, about growing up with her mom, who was kind of like a grifter, doing anything for a buck, begging. And that's all I know so far. But I did see at the very back here, in the acknowledgements, it says, thanks to George R.R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, of course. So thanks to George R.R. Martin, who asked me to write him a story. So I can't wait to read more. Anyway, I'll show you now what I got at the bookstore. As you know, as I'm sure you know, I'm a big fan of Stephen Graham Jones. Stephen Graham Jones is, like, in my head just one word because I say it so often. Anyway, in real time, I got into his books when the Indian Lake trilogy came out, like My Heart Was a Chainsaw, or My Heart is a Chainsaw, Don't Fear the Reaper, and The Angel of Indian Lake. So I'm now going back to the ones I haven't read before. So today I picked up The Only Good Indians, which I know is kind of the book that leapt him across from a more indie author to a bit more mainstream. So I can't wait. This cover is eerie and beautiful. Can't wait to read this. I also picked up this one here called, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this author's name, Sayaka Murata, Earthlings. I've heard so many people talk about how weird this is, and that just sounds right up my alley. So I can't wait to read this one. And this was a staff pick for a lady named Fran. So thank you, Fran. Seeing the staff pick sticker, because I kept going back and forth. I had Intermezzo in my hands. I had the new Julia Armfield book in my hands. But when I saw the staff pick sticker, clearly that works on me. I was like, we're doing this one today. So let's go read The Grown Up. All right, so it's a few hours later now. I've got about 20 pages left of this. It's really interesting so far. First of all, it's really funny. It's like laugh out loud funny at some parts, but now it's getting creepy. So I was just telling you at the beginning, or in the last clip, at the beginning, she's been working as a prostitute. Now she was working as a prostitute in this, like, shop that doubled as like a psychic's, and her boss has kind of moved her up. Her boss is like, don't worry about it, you're not a psychic, it's fine, just tell the people what they want to hear, you'll make tons of money. So she does, and now she's gotten involved with this woman named Susan, who's having like some problems at her house with her stepson. And her stepson is terrifying. Like, kids in spooky books are always just the scariest things ever. So now she's like cleansing their house with sage and stuff, and the step kid is mad that she's there. And last we saw, he's like threatening to kill her. So I'll check in when I'm done, which will be soon. All right, so I finished The Grown Up. It was good. I think I'll probably give it 4 stars. It's good. The way it like unwinds the twists and then bends back on itself. I enjoyed it. It's really quick. It's only 62 pages. So if you're looking for something short, sweet, to the point, it's a good one. And I got spooked. Like 50 pages in, I was spooked. I'm up again reading in the dark. I was gonna say everyone else. Ed's in bed. It's just me up, and I was spooked. So I'm gonna be heading to bed now, and then tomorrow I'm gonna start the Christmas presents by Lisa Unger. Christmas Presents. I just looked. So that, I believe it's a thriller, and we're reading it for the members book club. So I'm excited to get into that one. I had started it in December, but then we pushed it off till January. Long story. So I'm excited to get through the rest of it now. Good morning. It is a beautiful, sunny January day here in Alberta. It is plus 4 degrees. That's crazy. That is so warm for January. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to enjoy it. Anyway, headed now to pick Ed up for lunch. That's apparently all I filmed yesterday. Filmed that, I was like, we're good. I felt miserable yesterday, but feeling much better now. So I'm getting ready to go get some groceries, and then we'll come home and continue reading. I started Christmas Presents last night by Lisa Unger, so we'll talk more about that when I get home. All right, I'm finally back home now and reading the book for tomorrow's members only book club. We're going to be doing a Zoom call for that. So yeah, reading Christmas Presents so far. Like, I just finished chapter 1. There's a prologue in chapter 1. I'm hooked already hooked. So the prologue, it's like this this woman that works at a strip club. She's very young. She's deciding that she wants to get out of this lifestyle. She's going home for Christmas, so she decides she's going to stay there. And when she goes outside, there's a man waiting there, and he's a guy that she recognizes from the club, that he comes in all the time, and she knows that he comes there to see her. So he's waiting outside, and he's like, "You want to go get some food?" And she's like, "You don't think it's a little weird you're waiting out here in the dark for me?" But she follows him anyway. Then chapter 1, we're meeting who I think is the same woman. I don't know yet, but it's clearly years later. She owns an independent bookstore, living the dream, and a famous author comes in, and he's buying a Christmas gift for his dad. And at first she doesn't recognize that he's this famous author, and then she does when he gives her his credit card, and he wants to talk to her about someone named Evan. And she's like, no. She's instantly like triggered in the true sense of the word. She's like, no, I don't want to talk about it. He's like, well, here's my card if you change your mind. She's like, I'm not going to, but thank you. And she asked if he'd, one day do a book signing in the store. So that's where we're at now. Okay, and after pondering this for a second, I don't think it's the same one. I think, though, that... So I just started chapter 2, and she's with her friend Evan, which is the guy that the author in chapter 1 mentioned. I'm thinking that he might be the same guy from the prologue, Evan. So, but I have no idea. So I don't even know why I'm speculating at the end of chapter 1, checking in, but I am well over half the way down with this book. I wasn't planning on reading it all today, but I think I'm going to. I'm hooked. It's like 1 a.m. I should go to bed, but I can't stop reading it. So, forget everything I said in the last couple of clips. I thought about deleting them, but then I was like, nah, just leave them in. Maybe you'll find that relatable if you read a lot of thrillers. The early jumping to conclusions. Anyway, this, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am greatly enjoying the ride. Basically, the heart of the story is there's the woman that owns the bookstore, like I was telling you about, and the writer, true crime writer. He also has a podcast. So he's come to town and he's wanting to get to the bottom of it. Because the young boy who was arrested for murdering some people and nearly murdering this woman, Madeline, he's in jail, but the true crime writer doesn't think he worked alone. So basically, he's trying to get the people who were there that night at this high school party 10 years ago to talk to him. And nobody wants to talk to him. I thought it would pop over here as well and show you that we are once again reading in the dark. But more than that, it's raining. Still. In January. In Alberta. This is bonkers. I don't know what's going on with the weather. All right. I finished that book. I couldn't stop reading it. I had two people in mind who I thought it was going to like be the twist. I kept going back and forth between these two, and it did turn out to be one of those. But even still, I really, really loved the story. It kept me engaged from the first page to the last one. So now I'm just listening to the rain, getting ready to go to bed. Tomorrow we're going to start the final book for this vlog, the Stephen Graham Jones short story collection. I think it's called After the People Lights Have Gone Off. When the people lights have gone off, we will see. We'll see. And I'm excited to read it. It only has like 2,000 ratings, which is pretty low for a lot of his books. So I feel like it came out, well, 10 years ago now. So I feel like he's gained a lot of traction in the past like 4 or 5 years. So I think they're doing reprints because this is a different cover than the Goodreads one. So good night, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, so it is the next afternoon now. Just ran some errands. I started reading the first story in Stephen Graham Jones collection, loving it. I figure I'll update you guys every few stories, not every one, because this vlog would get too long. But guess what? I found out this morning. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I love Bunny by Mona Awad. So today I was just kind of sitting here thinking, like, when's the next Mona Awad book coming out? Because I knew Rouge came out in 2023, I believe. So I was like, it's got to be coming up on time. And you guys, she's writing another book about the bunnies. Simon & Schuster has gotten it, and it comes out in September 2025. And they said it works as a sequel, a prequel, and a standalone novel. I cannot wait. All right, so we just finished up the first meeting for the members only book club. I need to think of a name for the book club because I see everyone that has one, they've got these cute names. Like Gabby reads, I think hers is the book troop. And then Katie Colson, I think hers is Smut Salon, like in Bunny. So we need to come up with a name, but it went well. I had some technical difficulties at first. I kept getting kicked out. And then the meeting was over before we knew it because we did it on Zoom. And I didn't realize they've got a 40-minute limit for if you don't have a paid account. So next month we're going to do it a little differently, but join if you'd like. Come and join us. It was so cool to get to see their faces because, you know, especially Kim. I've known Kim on YouTube now for years, like at least 3 or 4, if not more. And it was just so nice to get to see both of their faces. So if you're interested, join us next month. We're going to be reading 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. But of course, no pressure at all. Anyway, now I'm doing some reading. I just read the first story in this book here. Also, when I started reading it, I posted that I was reading it. And if you'll look at this, Stephen Graham Jones followed me. I'm just saying. I was like, oh my God, Ed, look at this. Because he knows. Anyway, so first story was great. It was about this teenager. It's called 13. And it's about this teenager and his superstitions surrounding the local movie theater. So moving on to the next one now. All right, so I'm just making dinner now. I've read the first 3 stories in this, and I've enjoyed them all. Especially the first and the third. So I'm excited now to see what else is coming. So we are just waiting for dinner now to be ready. I'm making taco bowls, but instead of rice, we're using hash browns. And we're watching Mad Men. We're on season 2, episode 1. Anyway, I thought Ed could say hi.
We affectionately refer to the dish as tactatos.
Yeah, tactatos.
So, yeah, no. Hello.
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 You enjoying Mad Men?
I am.
I don't know if I've told you this during Vlogmas, but this is his first time watching it all the way through.
Yeah, like I had seen episodes of it, and I remember even when you were watching it the first time, I was like, oh, is this where the sad Don Draper meme comes from? And you were like, what is that? You hadn't seen that yet. Mm-hmm. So I knew nothing about it. I knew absolutely nothing, but I knew where that came from.
So how's your weekend been?
Good.
Mine too. Nice and quiet.
Yes.
Cozy, got lots of reading done, had the book club, all good.
Yes.
Alright, good morning. It is a little chillier today. It is -5, which is still very warm for Alberta in January. Anyway, I haven't had a single coffee yet. It's 10 a.m. I'm going to run to the gas station and get one. I'm not in the mood to go to the grocery store and get some to make it home, so I'm just going to grab one. And then we're going to head home and get this reading vlog finished. It's I got through these books a lot faster than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be a rush to get them in before the 16th, but here it is the 13th, and I'm pretty sure I'll be done today. Alright, so I'm back home. I actually went to Tim Hortons for the coffee. Tim Hortons, as the big M's right there. McDonald's. Alright, I wanted to come now and end this vlog. I just finished this book. This is an excellent, excellent short story collection. I think it's 12 or 13 stories. They were all great. Most were 4 or 5s for me. I think there was one that was a 3, but that's as low as it got. Really enjoyed it. This cover is super creepy too and beautiful. So there you go, you guys. Thank you for coming along on my first Winterween readathon. I had a lot of fun. I got through the books quicker than I thought I would. So that's great. That is great. Before I go though, I just thought I would mention what, if you haven't heard yet, if you're in the book community, you will soon, but this morning I was reading the Vulture article about Neil Gaiman. Now I had known 6 or 7 months ago that, there were accusations against Neil and, by 2 women, and today the Vulture article detailing those crimes came out, and wow, it's really put a damper on my day. Neil Gaiman was always one of those creators that really framed himself on social media as someone who got it, someone who made beautiful stories for people who needed them. I saw a tweet, I can't remember the exact quote, but it said something like, Neil Gaiman is so disappointing because he made incredible work for people who needed to escape, and now it's turned out that he's the same kind of monster that most of us needed escape from. And yeah, that's really disappointing. It's really disappointing. Anyway, if you haven't read it and you want to, check it out. What's this little hair doing? It doesn't know. Be warned. It's very graphic. It's very vile. The things he's accused of doing are incredibly dark. So keep that in mind. And if that doesn't sound like something you can handle right now, then don't read it. And anyway, if you made it this far, sorry to bring the vibes of the vlog down so much, but if you made it to the end, leave a light bulb emoji if there is one. If not, something related to light, the sun, the stars, a lamp, who knows. Anyway, you guys, I will see you soon. Bye.